toboggan here was built by 4 girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
That's
My daughter,
cool.
his
Girls
daughter,
can't
and
build.
2 others.
Yes.
Girls
Yes,
can't
you can
build.
ask her about that.
Great bits
That
by
is
the
so
girls.
cool. So is that like what the, I guess there's a, what's the term when it's like, you know, you have a,
Passive inspection.
yeah, like a competitive style or just like official
Did you
size?
see
of
the-
They all have to be
Laying
inspected.
on it?
No.
That's
And they have to meet certain
Where?
dimensions,
There's, like,
which is
stripes
Tom
on
Cox's
part of the
responsibility on the day of the race or during registration.
And they would be inspected
teeny
after,
little bits
if
of
they're winners, they can be inspected after the race.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And that is for safety purposes, but also for, for fairness too. Well,
Like regulations.
Yeah, you want to make sure that it's wood on the bottom and that you're not going to take the track and date up with certain things. People
Right.
like to put their own special sauces on the bottom. You just want to make sure it's not going to burn it.
It is funny when you.
They're very secret about
That's,
it. It is.
We can go through some of the regulations if you want.
yeah, that'd be, I mean, it'd be helpful for me too, just because I don't really know how it works, what the, you know, because I know people come from all over to do it, so.
Well, there's size specifications because you don't want someone falling off the
Right.
falling off the back either, and you want certain curve, the certain size of the curve to make sure that again it's for as much fairness as you can, but also for safety.
That happened last year.
Safety of the rider as well as integrity of the chute, so
The
the chute
person-
doesn't get torn apart.
Right.
The person in the back slid off the back. The third person in the sled had a hold of his feet, so he went down the chute on his butt.
Oh no. How many people are on the sled?
So there's 2-person teams, 3-person teams, and 4-person teams.
What's the
And
most common?
4.
Four.
So you have 100 of the 2s, 100 of the 3s,
And 200.
and 200 of the 4s.
Okay.
And then there's an
Wow.
experimental group. They have to follow. Their rules are a little less lenient, but you can have up to 25 experimentals. And we've been doing that for,
Their rules are more lenient
yes.
in that they can have, their sleds can be made of, the rules are not as rigid for what they can make their sled out of, which is the whole idea behind an experimental division.
Cool.
So, someone that wants to bring a sled made out of carbon fiber, they can do that as long as it fits as long as it fit the rules for an experimental sled, in that it has to have slats, it has to be so wide, maximum width, a minimum width, a maximum length, so that it doesn't, again, tear up the chute for other racers.
Right.
Because the chute actually dates back to 1937, and it's been rebuilt 3 times in the 60s, and then again in the 90s. I think maybe twice in the 60s, and then in the 90s, and then repaired here and there throughout. So there are some original beams that date back to the 30s underneath the chute that we can look at and identify those as original beams.
Do you ever think 26 years ago we'd actually have to have written rules with specifications?
That's so neat. So how does it all work? So prior to the actual event, do teams have to notify you that they're going to compete, or did they just start building and then show up? How does the whole process start?
Well, the whole process starts with the committee, which is headed up by Holly, and there's work that's being done year-round. And as soon as the event finishes, within a couple of weeks, we're back together talking about lessons learned,
Yeah.
and planning starts from there. And a lot of it is fundraising to make sure that we bring the funds in, and we have plenty of sponsors, local sponsors that sponsor the event, and then you build up off of there, and you clarify any rules, and you lead up towards the event. And then what happens is there's a certain date, and somewhere in October, November, where
November
teams can start.
15th is when we opened up registration this year. October 15th or November?
October, November,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, and the teams know. And what's funny is of the 450 teams, I'd say 3/4 of them are returning teams, and they're constantly coming back, and so they know the gig. They know, and there are certain teams that fight to be the first one to be registered on there. And there's 2 types of racers. You have the we are very serious. We're not going to tell you what we put on the bottom of the sled, and then you're going to be the ones that are in costumes and just there for the fun of it. And both parties and hopefully end up having a good time doing it. But they register, and then there are certain teams you can get reserved spots, pay for a little extra to get a reserved spot, and you can tailgate and have some
Parking spot. And then there are some teams that build their own toboggan. They'll build a new toboggan every year. They'll have a toboggan that they've used that has been a winning toboggan for them, and they'll just spruce it up for the upcoming year. There are other teams that are, they're gonna borrow toboggans. We have toboggans for rent. Well, not really for rent, well, there are some that are for rent at the snowball for the weekend now. But we also have probably 12 or 15 toboggans at the event that teams can pick up and use. Go take your run, go put it back in the pile, and let another team pick it up and use it. But it's become it's a fun activity for kids and adults to make their own toboggans. And that's where, you've been involved with making some toboggans, which it's a great activity.
Tom Cox and I have built quite a few toboggans, but if you're going to race, if you're a serious racer, you more likely will have a new toboggan every year, because if you take a toboggan out on the ice, it chews up the wood, especially if the lake is not smooth. If it's a smooth lake, I mean, you just glide across, then you can probably use the same toboggan year after year, but that's not likely. But toboggans like this toboggan here is 12 feet long. There's all kinds of specifications that go into building one of these. It's built out of ash. All the slats are built out of ash. We kind of decorated this one up with walnut. But this was built by Beth's daughter, Abby, and her 3 teammates. So they built their own sled, those 4 girls.
And one was Tom's daughter too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Tom's daughter too, Karen. But the width of the sled can vary from 15 3/4 to 20 inches. Okay, so you can have a flat bottom sled, or you can have one with runners. And if you turn this around, you can see the runners on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now you can have either one. This sled tracks better because it has slats. These slats can only be 1/4 of an inch higher. These runners can only be 1/4 of an inch thicker than the slats. So there's all kinds of rules about building. The curl at the bottom, there's rules about how deep that can be, and there's
And just to back up for a second, one of the things about the runners and the slats is the chute is filled with ice for race day, so that you're basically, instead of going wood on wood in a chute, it's wood on ice. And so you've got less surface area hitting that ice just to slow you down. So that's why you've got people that are building these toboggans to really win are doing it with the raised slats.
They're dealing with the raised slats. Now, according to rules, only wood can touch the ice, except in this experimental class. You can't have any screws coming through. You can't have any metal on it at all. But I'm not going to go through all the rules. But it's basically only wood can touch the ice. A lot of theories about building sleds. How stiff they are, some are flexible, some are really, really stiff, some have runners, rails on the side.
And part of
There's
the
a lot of
inspection
theories
is
on it.
weight, the weight of the sled,
Yeah.
because what you don't want is extra weight could potentially make you a little bit faster, so you don't want lead weights added onto it. So it's a very tricky business. It really is. And we've tried to level a playing field as much as we can.
They're a lot of fun to build.
Yeah, how long does it take, usually?
Well, it's usually more than one person involved, but it's probably about 60 hours, 40 to 60 hours. A lot of it is finishing, not so much construction, but the finishing of them. It takes an awful lot, and smoothing out the bottom, getting everything smooth.
So is that like, would you sand it down, or do you?
Oh, you sand and you sand and you sand.
But Dave, you should point out the special decoration you do had the girls do down in the front.
The inlay.
Well, we prettied it up a little bit.
Oh,
It's turquoise.
We put some, you can see the bottom here. You slide it up here. We put turquoise stone in it just to make it look
That
fancy.
was beautiful.
wow.
And
13 and 14-year-old girls.
well, I gotta say one thing, those girls stuck to it. They committed to building it and they stuck to it. And you don't think of 14-year-old girls with sawdust in their hair and broken nails and all that stuff. And I think they had a good time.
It is beautiful toboggan.
Yeah, that's
With
gorgeous.
the
That's walnut.
pins in there and it's nice. The plugs.
What's really interesting in the amount of time, and I've been involved with the toboggans a whole lot less than Holly has, and I joined in 2009, but it was, yeah, I'm still learning more about it. I was watching video from one of the shows from last year and was amazed at what was going on outside of the timing hut and all the events and people with the vendors and the fun that was happening on there. And I actually learned last week how the ice was made on the chute. It takes an awful lot. And you want to talk a little bit. Stuart Young is the
Chute master.
chute master, and he's been doing it for all 26 years or pretty close.
Well, no, he joined at about the same time I did in around 2000.
Okay.
And
Is that his official title?
Yes,
Shootmaster?
it actually is.
Yeah.
He's the co-chair chute master.
yeah, this is Stuart, the chute master.
Oh, wow.
This is from the 20th anniversary last year, 25th anniversary. But his job is to make ice in the chute. He maintains the chute, and in the 2 weeks, 10 days leading up to the event, he's actually making ice. Last weekend, he opened up the chute for the first time of the season because the ice was thick enough. They had, I want to say, 8 inches of ice on Hauser Pond, so they could open up the chute for just the public to be able to take rides down, which it's a very popular activity out at the Snow Bowl each winter to use the toboggan chute. It's not just open for race day. So making ice involves, it's an actual Zamboni. They call it a Zamboni. And it was developed by David Dickey. And what it basically is it's a lobster tote. So it's just a gray plastic tote that's been retrofitted with some tubing, and it's pulled on a pulley by hand and dragged up and down the chute, and it just dribbles water onto the chute and over and over and over again throughout the night to make ice. It's highly technical.
It is a loving activity for the chute master.
That's like the most main thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a
Perfect.
lobster tote.
And you've got to see it, it's duct taped together, and it's got,
yeah.
you know, every year the tubing has to be replaced,
But it
and
works.
it cracks, and it works.
Hey, and if it works,
It works.
It's better than, you know, pouring a cup of water down the chute and pouring another
Well,
cup
they
of
used
water.
to do it with a hose,
Yeah,
Oh, really?
and it's very hard to get it smooth with a hose.
yeah, and they used to try to take water from the creek that runs, there's a little
Mhm.
creek that runs under the chute, and try to get the water up, and you couldn't, that was too hard to do. So the Zamboni works very, very well.
Wow, wow.
So that's what they use to make the ice. And then at the top of the chute, there is the launch this is a gravity-driven mechanism that drops you into the chute. So imagine that that the chute is, you know, this is the chute, and you're at the top of the platform is like this, and basically you're sitting on top of it, and Stuart pulls a lever, and it allows you to drop,
Oh,
and then your toboggan slides into the chute.
Oh,
There's nothing that pushes you into the chute. There's no little thing that kicks you in the back. And in fact, during racing competition, when you're just riding it for fun, you can pull yourself in, or we can push you down. But during race weekend, you're not allowed to touch. All you can do is just sort of, you know,
And there's debate whether you want to lay back or go
Right.
forward, how much weight do you want on it, do
Do
you
you
want
want
to
the
rock
heaviest person in the
before?
front, the heaviest person in the back?
Well, the reason they lie down is to distribute the weight, because if you have a sled like this, a flexible sled, and you're sitting on a sled, you have that weight concentrated vertically right down on that spot. So as you go down and you hit the bumps, your sled flexes on that weight. That's why they say sometimes it's better to have a stiff sled so it won't flex. So if the chute's got a little bit of this in it, that sled's going down in and out, and that slows you down just a little bit. Yeah, hundredths of a second or thousandths of a second.
Right,
So
right.
And they're going 40 miles an hour.
I was
mean,
gonna ask
they
about
can
that.
get to a maximum speed of 40 miles, and we know because the police came and have set up their radar gun for us. So we can watch as people are coming down how fast they've gone, and they love when it's announced and they can see it. And it's usually, depends where the finish line is, but it's
Yeah.
usually a 9-second ride, 9 to 10 seconds.
yeah, I was just gonna say, by lying down, you distribute that weight. You don't have weight concentrated in one spot. So that's the reason they lie down.
And is
Yeah.
that the strategy most people take, that they lie down, or do some
The
people?
serious racers, yeah.
They do. Is it kind of like the reason they lie down if you're like losing, like
Aerodynamics
Yeah.
is part of it, distribution of weight is another, where you want your arms and legs, and you don't want, well, part of it, you don't want your arms and legs and fingers sticking out either, because we want to make sure that you come down safe.
keeping
Well,
all
one of the biggest things that takes your time away from you is, because there's just hundreds of seconds between winners. I mean, literally hundreds of a second.
Right.
And if you're going down and your sled is not tracking properly, or you got an arm or a leg sticking out and you rub those sideboards, that's hundreds of a second loss right there.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of work on the committee to improve the timing, to make sure that there's no questions about what was timing. That's improved significantly over the years. We've had to set the rules very specifically on tiebreakers, because we've had ties, and how to break the ties, because you qualify on Friday and Saturday night to get into the finals, and then the finals are Sunday. And as Stuart likes to say, all the fun's on Friday and Saturday, but the real competition happens on Sunday. So you want to get into the game, and then Sunday it's a clean slate and you start over again.
So everybody takes 2 runs. They don't have to take 2 runs, but they're allowed to take 2 runs to get the fastest time. And if you take a fast run early on Saturday and you feel like you've made the top 50 or the top 25 for the qualifying, then you don't have to take a second run, but you do have another opportunity to do that to get into the finals. And then for the finals on Sunday, every team has to take 2 runs, and the combined time is what determines the winner. And then we've got some specifications of how we break ties, should we have those.
And you have the top 25 from the 2s, top 25 from the 3s, and the top 50 from the 4s all make the finals.
And then in addition to, so we reward or award first, second, and third for the 2, 3, and 4-person divisions. We have a top, if we have 5 teams in the experimental, we do have first, second, and third for experimental, and then we have best costume, oldest, and then we also award some special divisions. If you're the fastest women's team, the fastest youth team, fastest college, there are a few special divisions that you can sign up for. In addition to being a 2, 3, or 4-person team, you can also seek to qualify for one of those divisions as well, and we award trophies for those.
So in addition to what you put on the bottom of the sled, the strategy you have on whether you rock or not, and whether you lean back, there's also the strategy of timing. Do you want to be the first one in the morning to go down on a fresh track, or do you want to wait till the latest you can go because the temperature might be getting just a little bit colder, maybe it's just a little bit slicker? And so there's a lot of strategy, and you'd be shocked how many people become weathermen during that time and try to predict when the best time is to go down.
Well, what are they going to do this year? And can we talk a little bit about just, I think one thing was I mentioned this earlier, but I mentioned to a couple of friends that I was doing this tonight, and he said, are they gonna do that? It's been so warm and there's like no snow, and I was like, well, I don't know, that's why I wanna go. What effect does the weather and the temperature have on the whole event?
Well, the event is, knock on wood, we've never not had it. We've always had at least one day, sometimes it's been a shortened event, a one-day event during the blizzard. A few years ago, we had a one-day event. We endeavor to always try to have at least a partial weekend event, and that's because all the team registrations, all the sponsorship money that's collected in advance, those are all non-refundable, and they're all donations, tax-deductible donations to the Camden Snow Bowl. So we want to make sure that we give the community, those that are local and from away that travel here, an opportunity to do something out at the Snow Bowl. And luckily, Mother Nature has always blessed us and given us at least one clear day to do things. And it may not always be so perfect. It may be a little wet. It may be a little cold that day than you're used to, but everyone's able to do it. And we will, as a committee, we always make sure that we haven't had to make a decision to not be able to do it. And yes, the weather is warmer this year, but as of last Friday, we had 9 inches of ice on Hauser Pond, which is plenty of ice. The nights are supposed to be cold from what I was looking at the AccuWeather report. The days are going to be a little warmer, 30s and 40s, some snow maybe over the weekend. What will usually happen out there on Hauser Pond is it'll probably glaze over the top with a little bit of melting, but then freeze again at night, cause a pretty slick surface. And without snow, it'll be slippery out there for people, so they'll want to wear ice creepers and things like that. And the toboggans will travel further, but as long as there's enough ice on the pond, and we'll drill test holes. We'll do it this Friday, and then we'll do it again next Friday, and make sure that it's all safe. And we won't call the event. We'll just have a modified event somehow. And even if it means we put toboggans on the
We'll pull you, yeah.
We'll do something.
Mother Nature has thrown some curveballs. I mean, we had that blizzard a couple of years ago, and it only brought the community together.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the people started clearing. There were people shoveling the walkways to get up to the chute, and it made people a lot closer. We've had times where it's been warmer, which increases the crowds, which is even better for the community.
Absolutely.
And it makes it at the bottom a big puddle.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun to see people splash, and they walk, and just the looks in their eyes when they can splash, or when there's nice soft snow there, it poofs up. And
The water is really cold.
And it may be that because if there is surface water, we may say, okay, we don't want people, spending all day out here. We may say, okay, it's a one-run race this year, and you're only going to get one, wet once. And usually, we're not going to get any complaints about that.
Yeah.
As long as they get to compete, they get to come down the chute at least once and try it, especially for those that have never done it before. And there's an award, and we call winners. Everybody's happy.
One of the biggest impacts on the racers, with respect to weather, is what are they going to put on the bottoms of their sleds?
Yeah.
And the people that are very serious about racing, they come prepared they watch the weather very closely, and they will come with, a half a dozen different waxes.
Oh, wow.
As to
Just
what
like
they use
ski
to
racing.
pin
Just like
anything.
ski racing.
Yes, just like ski racing, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those stay tuned. We can't do anything about the weather. All we can do is wait and see what happens. It's more than a week away at this point. There's now plenty of ice. It's not going to melt overnight. It's not going to melt in a week. And we'll make it happen one way or another because everyone, wants it to happen. So.
Right.
Well, we have people from all over the country come.
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
36% of the people are from a different state, and they come from as far as California. We have Hawaii, people from Hawaii a couple years ago. I think there was someone from Australia last year. One or two people came from Australia, and it's a huge. there's people who have never seen snow before going down on toboggan.
Oh,
And
wow.
they come out and they start waving in the window, and they're like, this is the first time I've seen snow. And they have so much fun with it. And we try to do everything we can to make sure that they're having fun out there. And it's, you know, a lot of the strategy of the committee over the last few years has been to ensure that we make it into a family-friendly environment. And it's looking for ways for kids to get involved, not just tobogganing, but to want to come out to the event, not just to watch toboggans, but to enjoy the atmosphere and the experience of it all. So we've spent a lot of time doing that, a lot of.
And the vendors are gonna be there, the vendors will be set up on Friday with food and, you know, a whole variety of things for sale. We've got our souvenirs that we've established that we'll be selling for the event. So there'll be lots of things. They're skiing on the mountain, obviously, skiing and snowboarding. They've been making snow every night, so.
We've had in the past a riding bull. You can get on the riding bull, or not a real bull, mechanical bull, to ride the mechanical bull. We've had, this year, we'll end up having those big inflatable hamster balls that people can,
The Zorb.
the Zorb that you can play out on the
You have
ice.
the tube chute?
The tube chute's not there this year.
The tube chute has been there in the past, it's not there this year. There's gonna be an unofficially not sanctioned hockey game.
Yeah.
There's gonna be the select boards from Camden and Rockport are gonna compete right after lunch. There's gonna be a parade of costumes.
Costume parade.
That are gonna be, the winner's gonna be selected by the select people, and is the steel drum band gonna be there?
Yeah, the Blue Hill Planet Pan will be there. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
there's music and food
That's
and
awesome.
fun, and
Is that
every once in a while
nice?
someone goes down on toboggan.
And then also, we ought to mention on Friday night, there's the snowplow parade and fireworks downtown. And that's part of Winterfest, which is happening beginning this Saturday with ice sculpting and the snow sculptures on the village green.
I saw the snow is there.
The snow,
So
yeah,
they
the
put it there.
forms have been built out on the village green.
Crazy looking.
And so the teams will be building, sculpting ice sculptures on Saturday in the amphitheater. And there's the CJ Chenier, Louisiana Zydeco band on Thursday night at the Opera House in Camden. There is a Mardi Gras parade and dance downtown in Camden on Saturday night. That's going to be at 16 Bayview, which is formerly Gilbert's for anyone that's local.
Just teachers playing.
With Just Teachers, and that's in the new hotel that's there on the corner, in the lower level where Gilbert's used to be. And so there's going to be a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, we started as a two-day event, and it has evolved into allowing the public to come down on Friday and just go down on toboggans. So this third day was tacked on, and then it's always on the tail end of what was just Winterfest,
Right.
and that's crazy. Let's just combine them all together. It's really been a good success over the last couple of years to be able to help to promote both events together as one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there an official affiliation, or did you just
Beth
decide?
has a schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are
Well,
now
this
the
shows you
official
that.
tail end of Camden Winterfest.
Yeah, the official affiliation, we joined with Winterfest last year to, it was a smaller, it was really just ice sculpting on one of the weekends. That sometimes coincided with Toboggan National Weekend and sometimes was the off weekend, and now we've tried to coordinate the
Yeah.
schedules so that they're always on an off weekend, anchoring each other, and then the Winterfest committee, which is separate from Toboggan National Committee, they've created a whole bunch of different things going on throughout the week so that you can come and make it a week-long vacation
Yeah,
with your family.
that's awesome. How great for the local economy too, because it feels like so much of tourism is obviously leaf peepers or summer folk,
Right.
so this gives people a chance to come.
Never
And locals get out of their house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting. The ice sculpting, for example, or snow sculpting,
Yeah,
one of those two,
yeah.
it's a state-sanctioned event.
Yes.
Like, we are the official
I didn't realize
state
that.
recognition of the winner will move on to the nationals, and it's because it started with a little event and then Winterfest and became officially sanctioned. So it's because of the weight of these types of events we're able to get that type of sanction. And this year we actually have a theme for toboggans. It's Maine's Mardi Gras. And that came about because of the costumes and the fun and people just enjoying themselves at the event. You put the beads on and you just go crazy. And I believe we're in the process of trying to get that trademark.
Oh, wow, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it came out of, a lot of the racers and attendees calling it, like Maine's Mardi Gras. And so we heard that enough that we've adopted that.
Your unofficial
That
logo,
moniker. I said,
yeah.
okay, well, you're right, and it's Maine's version because it's cold, so you've
Right.
got to wear puffy coats and moon boots but still, get out there and enjoy the outdoors and be out there with your friends and
Very careful not to schedule the same weekend as the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Have you done that in the past?
well, that's actually this year.
Oh, is it? Oh my
This
gosh.
year.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's tough to avoid, but the Patriots aren't playing. so
That's true, that's true.
It is, oh.
So I think the other thing that we ought to mention,
But we're not in it, so
yeah, before we, I don't want to forget to mention is that the Toboggan Nationals, the history of it dates back to 1991. It was started by Ken Bailey, who was then the Parks and Rec director. And that year, the chute had been rebuilt and had been dedicated to Jack Williams, who was one of the original, he was involved with it way back in the 30s, and spearheaded the rebuilding in 1991. And so that year they decided to get out and get everyone on the chute and have a Toboggan Nationals and have some racing. And so it just sort of built and built and built over the years from that into this real event that's got rules and schematics on how you build a toboggan and official awards made out of mahogany, and it's grown a lot, but the other piece of that is that the fundraising part of it, all of the money from the team registrations and the sponsorships, while there are a number of expenses involved for the various things that we need to do to pull this off, that goes into the general fund of the Snow Bowl to help operate the Snow Bowl, which is municipally owned and funded by, partially funded by the taxpayers. And this helps offset what the taxpayers have had to kick in over the years, and we've made it so the taxpayers don't have to give anything if much. So, which is really nice that this one event over 3 days can garner a good amount of money to help that. So we really appreciate the businesses and organizations that step forward and sponsor the event in exchange for being a part of it, and then of course the racers that continue to come each year and sell us out and fill up all the team slots.
Right.
We love that part of it. So we're glad to be able to do it. We're volunteers. There are only a very few Snow Bowl and town employees that we tap into for various pieces of the pie or of the puzzle that put it together, such as helping us with registration that comes in during business hours when we're off at our regular jobs.
Right.
But it's put on by volunteers, and that's how the chute was originally built. And in the program this year, there's a piece about the history of it, and it talks about the original Winter Carnival back in the early 30s. That they had a carnival up through 41, I think it was, or 46, it was all done by volunteers. I mean, the lodge was built by volunteers, the chute was built by volunteers, the entire Snow Bowl was put together by volunteers, and they just wanted to make it happen and create this place for the communities to come in and have a place to go out and play.
Yeah.
And so we we continue to do that with that spirit in mind and keep coming back year after year to do it, so.
There's volunteers writing the times out on the board the
Yeah.
entire day.
Right, right.
And there's
Absolutely.
And
so many
get
races that go on, your hands do get cold. You have people that don't even come close to the race, they're in town with the buses.
Yeah.
as
Oh, that's
volunteers.
right, yeah.
So there are people that never see a toboggan ever go down, that we could not make this event happen without them.
Yeah.
And just talking about the buses, just for convenience purposes, there is parking available, it's $10 at the Snow Bowl. But if you are coming into the races, it's a lot more convenient to go through the buses. It's $2 for a ride. There's a family price attached to it, so just come over to the town and catch a bus and come on in and see the event.
Yeah, awesome. I was just thinking, so if this started in 91, I also started in 91, so does that mean that this is your 25th year?
It's the 26th
26th.
26th anniversary.
How old
and
am
it's interesting, over the years, this event has gotten some national publicity. It's been
Yeah.
picked up by Sports Illustrated,
Yeah.
Yahoo Sports,
CNN.
New England AAA magazine, CNN picked
New
it up.
England.
Outdoor
NBC.
Channel has been here.
It's
Yeah.
really cool.
So there's been a lot of,
I was gonna say, there's some real opportunity here for like sports photography and, I mean, obviously what we do video, but I mean, you must get some great pictures of people when they come down if you can
Oh,
be
yeah.
where
usually
they
with
are.
their smartphone following behind them on the
They have their
track.
selfie stick.
Social media, you know, the cameras on the helmets have become a very big thing over the last couple
Oh,
of
the
years.
GoPro.
The GoPros,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what our thought was. That's weird.
We banned selfies, by the way, because you don't want to be doing this on your way.
Yeah. No.
Well, you see that going on though, somebody holding the phone up on the way down.
Yeah.
You'll see them.
Yeah.
You'll see them.
And then usually we say your smartphone is usually not that smart.
Yeah, I was gonna say you dropped that. Have a good one.
Yeah, you guys should talk about out on the ice what goes on.
Oh, we are not responsible for
Well,
what
Is
goes
that not part of you?
I mean, the ice is really its own little world out
It
there.
is.
They
People
sleep out.
set up their, you know,
They set their
tents
huts
and
up.
huts and
They have the cookers and huts and.
So fun.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like legit tailgating.
They'll set up
yeah.
3 days beforehand.
Yeah, it's a
They'll
big
set their
social
tents
event
up.
too, because people walk from hut to hut and
Yeah.
And there's
munch
plenty of
on each
students.
other's food and get jump in their huts and get warm, because a lot of them have stoves in them.
yeah.
I want to live up to it. That is really neat.
In
So
fact,
you
you
can
should do a
start with
3-day, event. Just tape it all.
Right? Just a little set up a camera and catch all the magic.
Periscope the whole 3 days.
Periscope it. That's so cool. So, I guess I think probably all the information about, time, like when people want to show
Yeah,
up.
it's on
for
the
certain
CamdenSnowbowl.com.
things.
There's a toboggan page there that has registration forms. You can still sign up for teams. There are still openings. There are the rules and regulations, the schedule of events is all there. There's photos, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
No pets.
Last
The actual
year's-
racing Friday starts at 4
Or
p.m. for an hour and a half, and then it starts at 8 a.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Sunday.
I think it's still no pets.
And then everything else is in.
it's
No, it's on the roll. Anything else?
Yes. I think the only question I had that you may have answered, and I probably just didn't catch it, was so you mentioned that there's multiple categories. So you've got like the college age and the youth age. What's the age minimum?
Before you get into high school,
There is no age minimum to race. You have to be at least 42 inches tall.
Oh,
You
it's
must
a
be
height
this
thing.
tall to
Okay.
ride
Yeah.
a truck.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
42
And
inches.
again, that's a
tall.
safety thing, and that's
Yeah.
really, even if you're just riding it during any day of the week, down the chute.
Right.
The youth category is ages 12 to 18 to qualify for that division.
Have you ever had someone who's just kind of tall for their age but quite young compete?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
little kids.
Oh, yeah.
I've had people bring their
there's
kids.
kids-
It's a big, there are a
Kids
couple
love it.
I was gonna say,
four-person
I would-
family
I wouldn't
teams
do it.
that come
Yeah.
out. And there's been people that have been doing it for there's one team that's done it for 25 to 26
Yeah.
years, I believe.
Wow, so like
Yeah,
passing it down generation.
And then there's people that I've known that have lived here in the past and moved down to Delaware, for example, and they come up every year with their family, and it becomes one of those, bring your kids along with you, and they've grown up doing it.
Yeah.
The youth division has the specifications for their sleds are a little different. They can have a 6-foot sled, whereas adults aren't allowed to have a 6-foot sled, they have to be 7. So there's slight differences in youth division sleds.
Yeah. So, like, for people who are going to, like, build a sled, what's the financial investment for that? Like, how much do you spend on a toboggan? Because once you build it, you have it. Like, you could, use it for years and years. And
Building a sled is not that expensive. Buying your ash boards, if you have to have access to a shop that can mill the ash boards to proper thickness and width. If you got access to a shop, I mean, it would be yours. It's not expensive at all.
Couple $100 versus buying a new sled for $400?
Well, you can't buy a 12-foot sled. They're all custom made.
Oh, wow.
What's the maximum length that LL Bean sells?
8.
8.
Yeah, you can.
And I think theirs is about $400 for 8 foot.
Yeah, if you had a sled made, a 12-foot sled made, it'd probably be over $1,000.
Wow.
If you had somebody make it for you.
Somebody make it for you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But they're not expensive. It's all labor.
Yeah, more of a time
It's all-
investment than
It's a time
financial.
investment, yeah. It's a lot of labor intensive.
Wow.
That's where all the cost comes in.
But what a beautiful payoff at the end. That's gorgeous. I'm just like, whoa. And such a good thing you've got such high ceilings in here.
We couldn't have done this in
You
the
couldn't
other
have done it
location.
in the old place. That's so funny. We'll take it.
I would just say it has become a huge community event that has spread from just Camden to Camden, Rockport, and Lincolnville, and Rockland, and hotels are now getting involved all the way across, and it's become a much bigger event, not in the sense of publicity, but in the community involvement with volunteers. None of this could happen without the leadership of Holly leading the committee and doing this for several years now, quite a bit now, and we thank you very much for doing that. And the volunteers in the community who come out and do it, and the racers and the vendors, and it's quite a bit of a team effort. And
Well,
couldn't pull it off enough.
it's really, there's a lot of volunteers and committee members that have been returning and had been there just as long as I had been doing this. But it is really, really fun to see the same racers come back every year. And, I may not know them by name, but we know each other by face. And it's like, oh, it's so good to see you come back again. Oh, how's your team? And they'll all 4 be there. It'll be, 2 people and 2 new people. And, I'll introduce a new person. And so, seeing these people come back, some of them with their same costumes, their same clothes they've been wearing for 12 years, it's great. And so we get a kick out of that just as much as it's fun to work with the people that we do on the organizing and the pulling it off side of it. So, we are glad that we've got so many returning volunteers and working people and racers and spectators. That's really gratifying. It says that we've got a really fun event for everyone. It's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love, and the payoff that weekend is huge.